Hello everybody and welcome back to the MMO project. I call it the MMO project. I mean, it kind of is. Let's be honest. It kind of is. And this episode, we are going to be doing character select screen population, but first, we're just going to do a quick adding of stats to the character, and this is how we ultimately want it to appear. I duplicated these a couple of times and changed the name, but we want to add in this character stats over here. So let's go ahead and fire up a new DB browser. Wonderful. And then I will see if I can open up the server in the File Explorer. Open folder in File Explorer. Wonderful. Bin debug, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So we will put this server in here. And we want to browse the table characters, and we need to add this in. So let's go ahead and do modify table. And we are going to put at the end one more field, character stats, because I realized after I finished recording the last episode that we don't have any character stats. We want this to be text and not null, but it's not going to let us do not null right now. If you see, cannot add a not null column. So we're going to not do not null because it was trying to add this here. And all we're going to do is we're going to copy in this. So this is just char stats and then an open close curly brace. There we go. And now that we have that data there, we can then modify this again. Yes, save that. And set character stats to not null. There we go. Perfect. So that's all the database changes that we need to do there, but we do need to change when we are creating the new character. We need to put that in. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go to create character, which I believe is in database manager here. Yes, indeed. And we're going to need to add in another parameter here. This is going to be character stats, like that. And then at character stats. Wonderful. And we're going to add in another parameter here, cmd.parameters.addWithValue. That's going to be at, in quotes, at character stats. And then character stats, which doesn't exist yet. We're going to need to pass in a string character stats. Okay, now that will create ourselves another error, which is over here, because we don't have that. So we're going to say string character stats equals, and that's just going to be char stats, open and close curly brace, and that's it. And we'll pass in character stats. Wonderful. So now we have support for a stat string. That's just something I realized I forgot to do last time. And now we'll get into the meat of this episode, which is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Well, not really. I knew that this was a big project, but we might not get done this episode. And honestly, there's a bug at the end. I haven't solved it yet. We'll see if I solve it by the time we get there. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go into our database manager and we want to add a couple of new functions to our database manager. And apparently the server for the sandbox is currently running. Wonderful. So in the database manager, we're going to need two new functions underneath create character. We're going to want to get a truncated and a full character type. So for the truncated type, this is going to allow us to batch get characters from the account ID. So we're going to say public static list string get characters on account int account ID. So we just take in the account ID and it will return a list of all of the characters on this account. So this will return a list of abbreviated character strings. Now, it's important to note that that's abbreviated. This is not going to be returning the character inventories, the character abilities, the character currencies, but it is going to return character stats and character appearance and character name. And we don't need any of those other things for when we're accessing all of the characters on the account. We'll just need those when we are logging into those characters, which is for another day, for sure. So we are going to say list string characters equals new list string. Wonderful. And then we're going to say cmd.commandText equals select character name, character appearance, there we go, character stats from characters where account ID equals, and then we'll parameterize this at account ID. Wonderful. cmd.parameters.addWithValue. We will add in at account ID and account ID. And at some point we need to go back and properly parameterize all of these. Some of them are parameterized, some of them, like this one, are not. This is mostly concatenated, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But that's added to the to-do list, and we'll come back and do that, possibly in a live stream sometime. So the next thing that we need to do is we need a try block, and then we'll need a catch, of course. And I'm just going to, at that point, return characters. Wonderful. And then in the catch block, we'll just do exception E, and that is going to be system.diagnostics.debug.writeLine, and we will output e.message. Wonderful. And then we will also say characters.add -1. We don't want to return an empty list here. We'll just return -1. So if we receive a -1, we'll know that we at some point ran into an error there, and that this is the error. Excellent. So inside the try block, we're going to say using r equals cmd.executeReader, we will create ourselves a string builder, sb equals new string builder, and then we will say while r.read, and inside of that, we will first clear the string builder to make sure it's empty, and then we will sb.append, and we will have it append character, like so. And then we need to iterate through the field count in R. So for int I equals 0, I is less than r dot field count I++, we will then say sb.append R, the ith index of R. It's kind of awkward, but we're going to append that .toString. And then if I is less than r dot field count -1, then we will also do sb.append, and we will append in a comma. So what that will do is that will only append in the comma if there's another object to put in there. Excellent. Then at the end, we'll need to do sb.append, and we will append a closing curly brace. Wonderful. Then characters.add, and that will simply be sb.toString. Wonderful. And that will get us the list of every character on the account that, or rather every character in the database that is affiliated with this account ID. And it'll be all kind of mashed together in a list, but that's fine. So there shouldn't be any more issues there, and we can minimize that one. And then we are going to create ourselves another one. And that is going to be very similar, but this is going to be public, if I can type, public, nope, I cannot type, public static, this is going to be a string, get character, with a capital C, character. It takes in a string character name, so we can look up a character by name. This will return a full character string with all the data. Okay, so the command here is going to be cmd.commandText equals, and we're not going to, I have this string.formatted over here. We're going to parameterize this because that's something that we're going to need to do anyway. So we're going to do select asterisk from characters where character name equals, and then I just want to bring this back so that I can, yeah, I did actually use spaces here. I don't think it really matters. And then we need to parameterize this, so at character name, like that. And then cmd.parameters parameters.add with value. And then we want to say at character name and character name. Wonderful. Now we're going to do largely the same thing that we did up here. And in fact, actually, we'll return for right now -1. And we'll just say no character by that name exists. Excellent. And in here, we're just going to basically copy this entire thing, this entire try-catch here. We are going to have to change a couple of things here. So we don't care about looping through r.read. We don't care about that, so we can get rid of that. We don't care about anything that is adding to the characters list. But otherwise, we do care about the SB. We want to clear it, append in the character header here. And then we want to loop through all of the results and append those on, and then append the closing result here. And then after this, we can simply return sb.toString. Wonderful. So that's our get character finished, and our get characters on account. So that's our database work done. Next, we're going to need 2 more message types here, and those are going to be... I'm not super happy with these tags, I'll be honest, but these are going to be the CRQ, that is the character list request. Yeah, I know. I suppose we could call it the CLQ. Sure, we could call it the CLQ. And that's just going to be a header, nothing else. Then we're going to have the CRR, and that is going to be the character... And we'll actually call this the CLR because I just changed that. CLR, that's going to be the character list response. And this will contain a header, result, and a reason, potentially. That reason is not always going to be there. Now I do want to actually change this in my other project quick so that I don't forget. Change the CLQ, and actually let me just pull this... No. Windows, I wanted you to pull it over, not split the window. I want to rename this to CLQ. Wonderful. Or not CLQ. No. I wanted to rename this to CLR. There we go. That'll rename it in the full project, and I'll bring that back over there. And then we'll pull up the MMO sandbox here, and we'll open the comms enums. And once again, this should be renamed to CLQ, and should be renamed to CLR. And that'll change it in the whole project, so that I don't get confused. Okay, so that gives us that. We are going to need to copy both of those, and we are going to need to put those on the client comms enums as well. So we will hop over here and put those in. Now we're going to need to support these. But first, let's go into our character select screen and get rid of this request update. This is actually not necessary. We're going to be doing it slightly differently. That will create us an error, in theory. That should have created us an error. Maybe Unity knows about the error that Visual Studio doesn't. Yes, Unity is aware. Yes, so we can just get rid of this request update here. We do not need this, because we are going to be utilizing instead... Let me just expand references here. We're going to be using instead void on enable. And Visual Studio autofills private void. That's not very relevant. Okay, so the first things that we're going to need here is we're going to need a reference to the public net manager. Excellent. We're also going to need a couple more references, but we'll come back to those in a little bit. So first we're going to say netmanager.send, and this is not going to exist, send character selection screen update request. That's a big one. We're also going to say UI manager.show modal requesting characters from server ... And we're also going to want this to be a spinner, so we will say true. Excellent. Now, obviously, this doesn't exist. So let's hop into the net manager, and we will go ahead and create that. So this is going to take a couple of things. We're going to have to create another method here, but we're going to have to do that also in our UDP manager. So we're going to have to do public void send character selection screen update request. That's a big one. Luckily, we don't need to do this very frequently. I don't have to type that out. And then we're just going to do client.send, and this is going to be messagetypes.clq. And that's it. Now, this is going to cause an error, because we don't have an overload that only takes a header. So let's make one. Let's go to our client here. We'll go to definition. And actually, we need to go to the definition of client. There we go. And we are going to create ourselves a new public void send. And all this takes in is message type. Excellent. Let me pull that open over here so that I know what I'm doing. This one's very simple. We're actually just going to copy the code from send here, and we're going to get rid of the to area, and we're going to get rid of message. And that's literally it. All we want to do is send a header and a timestamp. So there we go. Wonderful. So let's hop over to our... And actually, that might have been, now that I think about it, part of the problem. I'll investigate that later. We will hop now back over to our net manager here. Make sure that this is correct. Yes, that is perfect. So now we'll go to the character select screen, and whenever this turns on, it should automatically send these. Wonderful. Now, of course, the server doesn't know what to do with receiving this message, right? So if we open up the server here and go into the server.cs and check where it is processing messages, if it receives a, what is this, ALQ message? Or CLQ rather? Yeah, this is a CLQ message. It would just put in received unhandled message type, because it doesn't know what that is. So let's go ahead and give it a case message types.clq, CLQ message, requesting a list of characters on the account. Excellent. So there we go. Let me actually pull open the server here so that I know for a fact what I did previously. I need to scroll up to here. There we go. So we need to then have this say process CRQ, or rather CLQ message. It didn't change my method name, but that's okay. And we're just going to pass in the client session. Now, of course, this processing doesn't currently exist. We'll go ahead and put that in right here. Public void process CLQ message. And all that's going to take is session client session. Excellent. So there we go. This is a pretty simple method, and all we're going to need this to do is say if not client session dot authenticated. So if we are not authenticated, then we don't really want to tell the client anything because they're not logged in. Why would they be requesting this? Let's just give them an error. This message needs to be authenticated. Let's return an error. There we go. And we'll just send message types.clr, and this is going to be sending in the content of 0 for no, not authorized, or authenticated, whichever you prefer. And this will be sent to client session dot address. And then we'll just return. We don't need to do anything else at that point. But if they made it through, then we're going to need to get ourselves a list of the characters on the account. So we will say list string characters equals database manager dot get characters on account client session dot account ID. Excellent. That'll get us our list of characters, and now we need to format it for the client. So format the list for the client. Here we are going to say string builder SB equals new string builder, because we're going to need one of these guys. And we are then going to iterate through our characters list and say for int I equals 0, I is less than characters.count, I++, We can then say sb.append, and we will append in characters I, like so. If I can, there we go. And then all we're going to do is like we did previously, and we are going to, oh, okay. I guess, got slightly distracted there. Okay, so, as I was saying, we're going to do like we did previously. If it's not the last object in the list, then we're going to add a comma. So if I is less than characters dot count, and we need to, of course, say int I, or no, if I is less than, what am I doing? I'm so distracted right now. Dot count minus 1, that's what we need. We need to say sb.append, and we're just going to append a comma at that point. So that formats our list for the client in the correct format. And now all we need to do now is send that. So we'll do send message types.clr, and that's going to be sb.toString, and we're going to send that to client session.address. And that's it. So that's what happens when the server receives a CLQ message. It'll then send a CLR message to the client. Now, of course, the client doesn't know what to do with a CLR message. So we'll hop over there and tell it what to do with a CLR message. So we'll go up over here. If we receive a CLR message, we'll say case message types.clr. This is a CLR message with a response from the server about characters on the account. Excellent. Let me switch over to the client over here, and we're going to need to properly parse this, of course. So we're going to do a parse CLR message, and we'll pass in just the content. We don't need anything else. And we don't need these maximized, but we will go ahead and say private void parse CLR message string content. Wonderful. Now, inside of this, we need to say if content equals -1. Oops. We need to have that curly brace. Some error occurred. Maybe we have no characters? And we'll return. However, if we have characters, then we're going to need to do something with this. So we're going to say string, an array of strings, characters, equals content.split, and this is going to be, this is really awkward. The way that the split works here, we want to use a string to split it, but it only actually takes an array of strings, so we're going to have to say a new string array, and then provide just a single string for this array, and that string will be as follows: character with a curly brace. And we'll say string split options dot remove empty entries. I don't think it really matters, but we'll go with that one. Next, we're going to need to say for int I equals 0, I is less than characters dot length, I++. We are going to then add ourselves a job, and we'll do it, of course, like so. And we'll put in a curly brace. There we go. Might as well move this up a line. Perfect. And then in here, we're just going to say UI manager dot character select screen, not creation screen, character select screen dot add character. Now, this is something that doesn't exist yet. We'll get to that. And then we need to say character dot from UDP message, and the message will be characters I. Now, none of that exists. Not character appearance. No. Character. That's going to throw a lot of errors. This is expected. We'll copy this add job down here and paste it here, and we're just going to say UI manager dot hide modal. We received the response we were expecting, and we will just hide the modal at this point. Although, we do need to also hide it up here. So maybe we should do the hide modal before we do anything else, actually. So that will hide the modal, and then no matter what we get from the server. Yeah, that'll be a better way of doing that. So we, of course, need to set up this. We don't know what's going on here, or rather, the compiler doesn't know what's going on here, so let's do so. Let's go to the character select screen first, and we're going to need to add in a couple of things in terms of references. We're going to add a public character slot, which doesn't exist. We will get to that. Character slot prefab. And we're going to add a public transform pane content. That's all we'll need for our references for right now. But we'll also create ourselves a new method here. And this is going to be a public void add character, not character appearance, character. Of course, the character script does not exist. We'll get to that. So we'll say character slot, which of course doesn't exist, new slot equals instantiate character slot prefab. Excellent. And then we'll say new slot dot transform dot parent equals pane content. And then we'll say new slot dot character equals character. And of course, that doesn't exist either. And also the new slot dot character with a capital. Character. Wow, I can't type. Info field dot text equals character dot character name. Okay, so let's make this character script first. We're going to need to go into here. Yes, I realize there are errors. And we will go into characters, and we will simply create a C# script character. Wonderful, that didn't open. We'll try this again. There we go. That's more like it. Now, we do not need this to be a mono behavior. This is just a data class for right now. And we don't need any of the default methods. We do need a couple of references, so we will go ahead and do region public references and region. And we'll also do a region public fields and region. So we'll need a field here. This is public string character name. And then up here, we'll need a couple of references, a public character appearance. There we go. And then we will need a public character stats, which does not yet exist. We'll get to that. Character stats. And then just as placeholders, we'll also put in commented out. These will exist later on. There will be 3 of these. They will be public character experiences. We'll also have public character inventories. And we will also have public character abilities. Okay, so obviously none of this exists yet. We'll get there. Down here, we'll go ahead and do a region constructors. And we'll end that region. And inside of here, we'll just make a public character constructor. Takes no arguments. And all we're going to do is say character appearance equals new character appearance. And character stats equals new character stats. Obviously, character stats doesn't exist yet. We'll come back to that. Next, we need to say public static character. So this is for essentially creating a new character from a static reference. And this is going to be from UDP message. And and we pass in the string message. And we'll just leave that for right now, because I want to get this character stats thing out of the way. Now, the character stats works almost identically to the way that the character appearance works. We'll go ahead and create a new C# script here, character stats. And the idea here behind this is that this is also similarly flexible. So inside of this, we will need to create ourselves a new public class character stat. And this is just like in the appearance. We're going to have a public string name and a public string value. And we are also going to have a public character stat string name string value. So we'll have a constructor for that here, and it's just going to be this.name equals name, and this.value equals value. So this is just a data class. We don't need this to be a mono behavior, and in fact, actually, we can have it be a mono behavior. It's fine to have it be a mono behavior. We don't want a start or an update, though. We're going to need a region public fields. We'll end that region and put in a field here. This is going to be a public list of character stat. If I can get back up here, stats equals new list character stat. There we go. And that's all we need for fields, just like in the appearance. And then down here, region messaging. And the only thing we're going to implement here is going to be the... Well, it's basically exactly the same, actually. So I'm going to go into the character appearance here. And realistically, we're just going to copy all of this, and we're going to change a couple of things, but it's going to be a very, very similar class. So we're going to need to use system.text. That will get rid of this string builder error. And then, of course, we called this stats instead of options. So we will go ahead and just paste in everywhere it says options, we'll paste in stats. Like so. And then there's still one error here. Not all code paths return a value for character, that's fine. And cannot convert from appearance option to character stat, obviously. This needs to be character stat option equals new character stat. Excellent. So that's all we need to do for our character stats here. We could genericize this, and I'm actually... I think I won't for now. We could genericize this so that character stats and character appearance utilize the same class type. It's a thing that we could do. I think I'm going to go into the to-do and say genericize... I'm not sure how to spell that. I'll just call it make generic the similar classes in character, stats, appearance, etc. Okay, there we go. So that's a thing that we could do in the future. We don't, of course, need this example message here. Excellent. So there's character stats, good to go. Now, obviously, character is still going to be returning a error here because this does not return anything at all. So we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a new character here. So character equals new character. The message here is a character, and then this is going to be like name, care, appearance, care stats, etc., etc. Comma separated at this point, and then it closes with a curly brace. So we're going to say string components equals message dot split, and because we are comma separated, we will split on the comma. Wonderful. And then we are going to do character dot character name equals components 0. Now the character name is always going to be a little bit different. Everything else is going to be in something like this: care appearance, care stat. So it's going to be a header followed by curly braces. The name just is. So we need to handle the name a little bit differently, and we will do that like this. So then we will say for int I equals 1, because we need to skip 0. We've already handled that one. Then we're going to say I equals, or rather I is less than components dot, nope, components. Apparently it didn't want to do components. Okay, components dot length, I++. Wonderful. And now we will say string parts equals components I dot split. And we're now going to split these on the curly braces, because now we're interested in splitting off these bits. Excellent. Now, it does bear noting... No, that should be completely fine. So we'll grab our parts here. We're actually only interested right now in parts 0. So we're going to say switch parts 0. And the reason we're only interested in part 0 is because this essentially will split... We'll split... let's see here. This is comma separated, so components splits this out. And then our character name equals components 0. And then components 1 is our char appearance. And then we need to just check this header is all we're doing here. So we're splitting off the header and then checking the header to see what that equals. So if that equals case char appearance, then we want to say that character.characterAppearance.from UDP message components. At this point, we know that it is components I, so we're not using parts here, you notice. So it's components I. Okay, now from UDP message is currently set to private, so we'll need to change that in character stats and in character appearance. So we'll do both of those. From UDP message needs to be public. Excellent. Okay, and now we'll hop over here, and we need to basically duplicate this a bunch of times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more times. There we go. This one needs to be char stats. This one needs to be char experiences, which will come back to that. Char currencies and char inventories. Now all of these will need to be changed as well. Character stats. This one will be character appearance, or not appearances. This will be character experiences. This one will then be character currencies. And this one will be character inventories. Now, of course, none of these exist, so we will just comment those out for now. Okay, there we go. And we're still not returning anything here, so this is still giving us an error, so we will just return character. Excellent. So now if we go into our character select screen, we'll see that when we enable it, we'll send a request to the server. Yeah, I know we need to do character slot still, but we'll send a request to the server, and the server will then receive that request, which is one of these, a CLQ, and it will say, okay, so you want a list of characters on this account. So it'll check to see if we're authenticated, and then if we are, it will send the characters in a CLR message, which then the client will receive, and we'll hop into the net manager here. And once it receives a CLR message, it will hide the modal, determine if there was an error or not, and if there's no error, then it'll split out the characters here, and then it'll do character select screen.add character. Fantastic. So now in the character select screen, we're going to need to create this character slot. So let's create ourselves one more C# script, and we'll call this character slot. Wonderful. And that technically did not open. We'll try that again. Excellent. And then inside of this character slot, we don't really need very much data. We need a public tm pro.textmeshpro UGUI This will be the character info field. There we go. And we'll need a public character. Excellent. Now we'll need to do a little bit of work inside of our canvas here. Because in the character select screen, we'll need to go into the character select pane, open up the scroll view, viewport content, and of course we'll need to set the pane content, which will be this content here. There we go. And we will turn character slot into a prefab. And we will make the character slot prefab be this prefab. Which doesn't, of course, work because I haven't put a character slot onto it. Which we'll go ahead and do right now. Excellent. We'll also modify this like so. Excellent. So this now knows about its TextMesh Pro UGUI, and we can set that prefab to here, which will give us instant access to that character slot, and we'll just delete this character slot for right now. So now, in theory, we should be able to come back into our character select screen here, and this will all compile together. Wonderful. And this should just work. But if this is like my previous project, we're going to run into an index out of range error here, and I haven't quite solved what's going on with that. So let's fire up our server. Okay, that did not have any compile errors. That's good. Let's fire up our client and wait the agonizing amount of time it takes for the handshake to complete. I really need to get around to fixing that. Oh, that wasn't too bad. So we successfully logged in there, and null reference exception. Okay. So we null reference exceptioned in the character select screen because we don't have a net manager, of course. We'll put in the net manager. There we go. That would help. And there's one more thing that we need to change. I don't actually want to show that successfully logged in modal anymore. So let's go into our client here, into the net manager, and then in the successfully logged in area. So when we parse our ARP, I believe, we'll get rid of that modal. Wonderful. Authentication succeeded. Let's log in. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. And then we will fire up our server again and see if this works. I don't expect it to. Oh, of course. I didn't wait until the encryption handshake had finished. This is going to be awkward. I think it's going to receive things out of order here. Which is, I mean, yeah. As expected. It did not submit the information because the problem is that it's not really that it's out of order. The problem is actually, yeah, of course. The problem is actually that it doesn't, when it queues up encrypting the, content, it doesn't know what the server's encryption information is. Okay, so let's wait for the encryption handshake to finish. One of these days. Man, this is obnoxious. And it's so variable, too. Sometimes it takes no time at all, sometimes it takes a ton. So yeah, here's the argument out of range exception here. Ah yes, I forgot about this. This is a change that had to be made to the server, and this is not the issue that I was having previously. The server is struggling with receiving a message with no content. So we can fix that, and we fix that by saying int message length equals our message length minus time plus length, or time.length plus 1. Excellent. And then this would be message length in here. Now that doesn't change anything as is, but let's do a quick if statement here. If message length is greater than 0, then our message right here equals a substring, as we've done previously. If I can find curly braces, there we go. So we need to do that. And then we say else. Actually, we don't even need to say else. At this point, we know that we're setting the message correctly. So that should solve that problem. Then if we run this, and get rid of this guy, restart this, ASDF, ASDF. We'll wait for that encryption handshake. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to... Actually, that would cause a recompile, I think. Let's not do that. Okay, yep, this is the problem that we were having previously. So we're now getting an index out of range exception here, and this is in the UI manager.characterSelectScreen.add character, character from UDP message, characters I. Now I have not figured out what this issue is here. Let's just see. This takes in the content here. Are we already taking out the timestamp? Yes, we are. Before we pass in the content. Yeah, we are. Okay, so the question is, like, this output is not particularly helpful, right? So this is happening in Net Manager line 193, right here. Now, it can't be this that's causing the issue. Int I is less than characters.length, I++. I has to be in bounds here. So, we know that content is not equal to -1, because this is running, so that's not the problem. So when we do add character on character select screen, what exactly happens? We instantiate a new character, or rather we instantiate a new character slot, and we put in that character there. But we're passing in this character, and then we're doing from UDP here. Technically this is kind of a constructor, I suppose. So we create a new character, we put it in here, string components equals message.split. You know what? Let's hop out here. And I just want to see... Let's debug.log, at this point, characters I. I just want to make sure that that's correctly working. We'll just let that recompile, and we'll restart all of our servers and clients. And at some point we're going to have to make it so that this all works a little bit more gracefully and we don't have to always restart it, but that's kind of out of scope of right now. So we'll wait for our encryption handshake here. And let's just see if we can see what exactly the issue here is, doing a bit of live debugging. Come on, encryption handshake. You can do it. The encryption handshake does not seem to agree, but there we go. Excellent. So, we still got the index out of range expression here. So we got ASDF, char appearance. So we're getting all of this information from the database, right? That's working fine. The problem is it's struggling with something. The question is, what exactly? Debug.log characters I. So we know that characters I is fine. So it has to be something in the from UDP message. So let's hop over into that. It has to be something in this for loop. I is less than components.length I++. Parts. At this point, let's debug.log components I. Let's see what's going on there. We'll restart all of this. Because there's clearly something going on there that I'm not expecting, right? That's got to be the issue. Oh, that was nice and quick. Okay, what did we get? Interesting. So it output this. But it did not output this. At all. It didn't output that at all. Did it instantiate? Oh, no, it didn't instantiate. We know that. Let's see here. So it didn't make it to here. There must be a component. There must be a component here that didn't properly split. I wonder if it's... I mean, we can debug.log message at this point. I'm not sure how helpful that will be. That should just output this same exact string. So let's check on that. We'll log in just a moment here, as soon as the encryption handshake is done. Should be momentarily. I only troubleshot this for like 10 minutes previously, and I didn't go to all the debugging. I just tried to logic it out, and... Really? Does add job not know about I? Or actually, this would be from UDP message string character equals characters I? Like maybe add job doesn't know about this indexer? That would be odd if that was the case. I would consider that strange. We can try it. Because if it's not calling that at all, then that is definitely indicative that it's in the add job call, which is what it was saying, but I didn't quite believe it. Well, maybe that'll teach me to trust the compiler, if that is indeed the problem. Let's see. Just waiting on that sweet, sweet encryption handshake. Still waiting. It's so variable. That's the thing, the weirdest thing about it, is it's so variable how long this ends up taking. Like, I just had time to go put an end screen on the episode of X4 that goes live in 2 minutes. And complain about it. It's still going. Like, we still haven't gotten the encryption handshake. There, now it completed. Okay, that was indeed the problem. So here is our character, ASDF. Wonderful. So we no longer need these debugs. We can get rid of those, debugs.log. We can get rid of... Let's see, it's not that one. Not that one. I think we got rid of all of them that we're actually interested in here. Okay. So let's close that, and let's now fire up the Database Explorer again. And let me just open that up here. Is this the... Yeah, that's the server... No, this is the server sandbox. Hang on. There we go. This is the proper DB. I'm going to get that confused so much. So let's just duplicate this. What did I just do? Did I just delete it? Revert that. Yes. duplicate that record. Yes. Character name failed. That is fine. Hang on a moment. Yeah, go ahead and save that. Is the account ID set to unique? It is. That needs to not be unique. There we go. So this account ID should still be equal to 1. There we go. And we'll duplicate this one more time. Yes. I'm aware that there's issues with the character name. Fine. ASDFA. Wonderful. We'll see if we can duplicate this again. Yeah, that's more like it. This would then be ASDF... Actually, ASDFAS. There we go. We'll apply that, and we'll write those changes. So we just created 3 more characters by directly editing the database because I didn't feel like going through the UI to do it. It's much quicker to do it that way. So we will now check to see... Oops, that was my Steam library. We will now check to see if this correctly populates all 3 of those characters. And let's find out. Hopefully this encryption handshake is a little faster. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, so we can't obviously select them or log in yet. That is something for the next episode, but this correctly populates our field here. I do want to make a couple of changes. I want to set our character select pane, or rather our content with the vertical layout group. I want to have it padded a little bit more. Like, that's kind of a lot. We'll try 10. That's not enough. 15? 20? 50? Well, I know 50 is enough. We'll try 30. 30 is good. Okay, so we'll have this at 30. And I'll unplay that. Spacing 30. There we go. And then we're trying to create a mono behavior using... So we are. Wait, this is a new list of appearance options. This isn't a mono behavior. I don't know why it's freaking out about this. This is a list of character stats. We're not creating a new mono behavior with that. It's very strange. Okay, first things first, we need to do this via set parent because that warning is very annoying. So we will do new slot, or rather we will do new slot.transform.setParent, and this should be pane content. Excellent. So that'll get rid of this particular warning. And then I have no idea why Unity is freaking out about creating this list. Oh, I know why it is. It's because it's actually in character when we do new here. And it is because these are mono behaviors. Okay. Well, we can just make them not be mono behaviors for now. So character slot and character appearance, how much does that break it? Well, it does mean that the character select screen, or rather the character creation screen's character appearance script here might be kind of interesting. Okay. Oh, it's because I took a mono behavior off of character slot. I needed to take it off of character appearance and character stats. Okay. Origin, why are you launching right now? You cannot. Go away. Okay. So this is not launching Visual Studio now. Origin, you broke everything. Thanks, buddy. We're gonna make this back to a mono behavior, and I'll just fix that a little bit later on. So we'll do that and character appearance as well. So the problem here, of course, is that we're doing create new here. And it wants us to instantiate these. Which, fair enough. I can see why it would want us to do that. So we can do this, and that's going to cause issues because it's not going to instantiate. But if we go into the prefab here, we can then create ourselves a character appearance and a character stats, like so. And then we can go into here. We don't really need this constructor anymore. The from UDP message here is going to need it. So we're going to need to say character appearance equals we can actually just pass this in. Character appearance and character stats. Character stats. And we'll need to, of course, pass in the character appearance. So we can just pass these like so. Character stats equals character stats. And then the character slot can know about these. So public character appearance, and public character stats, character stats. There we go. We'll hook those up in the prefab. Oh, there's a compiler error. Yes, that is correct. We'll actually, in the character select screen .add character, we'll just have this take a string character. Yeah, we'll change that, and then we'll need to go to character select screen, string character, and then we'll say character ch equals character.fromUDP message, and we will pass in, we'll do that after we instantiate the new slot and set its parent. We'll do the character here, and we'll need to pass in new slot dot character appearance, and we'll need to pass in new slot dot character stats. And then this would be ch, and this would be ch.character name. So in theory, this should work fine and should give us no warnings. Let's just test that real quick, and hopefully it works fine and we can call it a day. Because this one's a bit of an in-depth one, there's no doubt about that. Okay, let's run, oh, hello, let's run this. Hello? Unity? You alive over there? Okay. I think we need to restart it because I accidentally stopped it like that. So let's do this. Just gonna run that on the other screen quick, and then we'll fire this back up. Okay, we will wait for the encryption handshake, which will happen any moment now. Any moment now. Oh boy, it's not wanting to do this. There we go. Null reference exception. Wonderful. What did I mess up? Yeah, I don't think we hooked it up in the prefab, did we? No, we did not. Character appearance, character stats. Now it should work fine. Excellent. See, this is what I get for deciding to start recording and saying, oh, I'll figure it out later as to why that was happening. I did figure it out, But trial and error is OP. So as soon as this is finished, bam, no warnings, and it populated. Perfect. That is exactly what we were going for this episode. So let's open up our to-dos here, which will also go ahead and close this. There we go. So let's open up our to-dos, and we will take a quick look at what's going on here. This is now complete, which means that next is character log in. After next, server game loop and updates. Wonderful. And that's pretty much that. So our next episode is going to be logging in with these characters and being able to select them. I mean, we're not going to have, we don't have any art assets, so we're not going to be able to display the preview, but that would be easy enough now that we have the data and we have it all sorted out into nice little data holders. So that's perfect. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. Next episode, we're doing character login. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.